Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Magistera Tinai et Graicai, where I, Ella Marie, will be taking you through Scansion today. Scansion of Elegiac couplets as we have been going through the Ovid, which is in Elegiac. I haven't been feeling great, so I haven't finished translating the next part of Ovid. As you can see, I sort of started preparing it here, but I haven't finished the translation. So I thought it would be a great idea to do some scansion today because I don't have to prepare much for it and you still get to learn something this month. So let's jump right into it. I'll start by explaining it because, well, I've got the first two lines here of Amore's 1.1, the first poem. And you can see there's a little indent here as we've had with all of these indents. This is the poem you haven't done. And the reason that there's an indent is because they're couplets, so they go together. Ignore these ones because I haven't put them in couplets. And the first line, we have hexameter, which means that there are 6 feet in the line, and I'll talk about feet in a minute. Feet in the hexameter and pentameter, that is. And then in this line, the second line, it's pentameter, which, as you can guess, has 5 feet from the pent. So what we can have as feet are either 2 longs or a long and 2 shorts. So this one is a long, and this means that it's short. And if you have 2 longs, it's called a spondy. And if you have a long and 2 shorts, it's called a dactyl. And now you're probably thinking, well, how do I know whether the vowel, because it's always vowels that you put these on, so like E, these are the parts that you'd put the long or short syllables on. How do I know which is which? And luckily for you, there are ways that we can tell. So for it to be long, it has to be, you can have a double consonant after the vowel. So if you have, let's find an example. So arma, the R and M are 2 consonants after a vowel, A. So that would be long. What else? You could have a diphthong. Now, what is a diphthong, you might ask? It's where there are 2 vowels that come together to make one sound. So like I, we, ow, a, you, and oi. So these are all diphthongs, and they would all be long. Or you can have something that is long by nature. What does long by nature mean? Well, some Latin words, or like forms of the words, will naturally, when you're just speaking it, be long. Like puella, if it's in the ablative. So if it's in the nominative, it's puella. If it's in the ablative, it's puella. And in England, at least, we don't typically put the markings to show whether it's long on our Latin. As you can see, there aren't any here. But it would be very helpful if we did, because then you can know if something's long by nature, such as also, sorry, I hit the microphone, in, usually always long. Now, what is classed as short? Well, everything else, pretty much. Especially if, well, not always, but if there's something like, let me have a look. I don't have a tibby in here, that's sad. That's fine. No, I'm not going to say that. So, if we think about hexameter first, I have said that there are 6 feet. Feet. Don't need to pluralise a plural. So, let's go on to the next page. If we take it all with dactyls, with a long, short, short, a hexameter would look like this. Long, short, short, and this means that it's like separation between feet, not foots. Then long, short, short, long, short, short, long, short, short, long, short, short. And then the last one we have long and then an X, because sometimes we don't know whether the last one is long or short. Sometimes we do know because we can tell, like if it's a diphthong or yeah, but sometimes we don't know, so we just put an X on the end. So that's what it would look like. You could also have it if you did it with spondies. It would be long, 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 X. And of course, any of these can change. The only ones that actually the penultimate foot is usually long, short, short. Can change, but usually long, short, short. So we'll keep it the same. So the first thing you can do, if you see a hexameter line, is make the first one, that wasn't useful, long, because you know the first foot, the first vowel is going to be long at the start, and then do the long, short, short, long X on the end of them. Those are usually never going to change. There is also something called a caesura. If you've studied like English poetry, or I mean even Latin poetry, you can know what a caesura is. It's like a break or a full stop. But we have a break in the line, and that is usually in the third foot between the 2 syllables. It's not syllables, vowels. It sort of is syllables. It's usually between words. So this is how we mark caesurae. And this one with the dactyl is a feminine caesura, and this one with the spondee is a masculine caesura. And that can tell you like certain things about what the author is trying to show sometimes. For example, I read some poetry, I think it was some Sulpicia, where when I was scanning it, she used a masculine caesura for a lot of the caesuras in the lines, but femine, that is not how you spell feminine, sorry. But when she was talking about herself, she used a feminine caesura in that line, when she had a lot of like words saying me or mine. And that made a lot of sense because she was talking about herself and she is a woman, so she used a feminine caesura to show that. So this is how you do a hexameter. Pentameter is slightly different. So pentameter, you have 3 of whatever you want. So it can be a dactyl, it can be spondee. I said 3, I meant 2. And then you have half a foot, half with a long there. And then you have again 2 dactyls, getting confused, which don't typically change. And then you have the other half of the foot. So it's mainly the first 2 that will change. It's very rare that these two will change, but these ones can change from dactyl or spondy, whereas the other ones are usually dactyls. And it makes 5 because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then both of these make 5. So we've got pentameter. The caesura in this one goes after the half a foot, right in the middle of the line. I should say, the caesura usually goes after the 3rd foot in hexameter. It can technically be in the 4th foot, and maybe the 2nd, I can't quite remember, don't quote me on that, but it can definitely be in the 4th foot sometimes, but it is typically in the 3rd foot, which is why I've said it. So why don't we try putting some of this into practice? Oh, wait, elision. I can't leave out elision. Let's get another colour. Elision is important, and I almost forgot it. It's the first thing you should do when you look at a line of any sort of poetry, Latin poetry, that you're trying to scan. So elision is when there are 2 vowels in a row, like, but from the end of a word to beginning of a word. Like, for example, puella est. It's a bit too wordy to say puella est. It doesn't flow. So instead, we allied it like, that is not the colour, like this. And we don't sound the R, we just sound the E. And that's the one that we also put the long or short syllable on. So it will be puellest instead. However, you can also have elision if there's a word ends in and then in the next word there is a vowel. For example, tuum est. They don't like that. They don't like saying tuum est, even though I think it flows perfectly well. So instead they allied it. You don't pronounce the and it goes to est, and again the E of est is where the long or short syllable will go on. So now that I have finished what I was trying to say, didn't leave out elision, let's go and put it into practice. I have got 5 lines which I think illustrate all of the things that I have said. I'm going to rub out this just so we can see. So the first 2 lines of Ovid's Amores 1.1, I thought it's just quite nice having a standard one. So first we're going to look, first we're going to add what we should for hexameter. Long at the start. The last one is long X, and then we have long, short, short. So bella parabam, and R starts arma. We don't know what the next syllable, if it's going to be long or short, the next vowel. So then we're going to look for any diphthongs. And as I'm silly. I literally just said the most important thing was elision. And that's the first thing you should look at the line for, because it can screw up your whole scansion if you don't realise that there's elision, and I still haven't done it because every time I forget. But we're going to look at the line. Arma gravi numero violentaque bella parabam. No elision. There are no vowels that are next to each other from the end and beginning of words. So let's carry on. No diphthongs. So let's look to see if there are any sets of 2 consonants in with each other. So we can see at the beginning there's and that's why the R is long, as well as the beginning needing to be long. We have nt here, violent acque. We have gravi. We have the l in bella, and that's why the E is long. And that looks like all of it. So we can put long on top of these. However, now I put long on top of that R of arma. However, if we actually count, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 vowels. And if we do a spondy, there's not going to be enough room because we need 4 feet. And 4 times 3 is 12. So if we do that, it's not going to work out, is it? That's another trick. Count how many there are. Count how many vowels there are, and it will tell you sometimes how many spondy and how many dactyls there are. So this fits, what fits with it is having all of them as dactyls. So armagravi numero violentaque bella paraba. And this is a bit silly, Ovid's being a bit silly, because if you remember our translation from Ovid 1.1, Ovid Amores 1.1, I was preparing to put forth weapons and violent wars with a serious rhythm, meter. And he's done this all with dactyls, which sounds a bit jolly up. You think saying something like arma gravi numero, you know, with all longs would be more serious. But he's made the meter feel quite light when he says he was preparing to put forth something really serious. So we can tell from this line that Ovid's playing with us a bit. He's saying, oh, I was totally going to write this stuff. And of course, remember, he says that Cupid stole a foot. So this is sort of an introduction into him being a bit, you know, having comedy in it, being a bit ironic. Next, we have the pentameter line, which ends with the half a foot. Then we go the dactyl and the other dactyl. Oh, I didn't do the caesura in the first line. Okay, I'll do that in a minute. And then we have the half foot again. So then we have edere materia conveniente modis. No elision, which I should have looked for first again. You can tell it slips my mind, and I've ruined many scans that I've done of the line because I haven't looked for elision, so don't be like me. Again, we can count 1, 2, oh, that should be long because it's the start, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If there are 6 vowels, and we need 2 feet, so they're both going to be spondies. Pretty easy, isn't it? These are like the easy ones where you can just count it out. We haven't done much, have we? Then, if this is line 4, oh, caesura, I'm sorry. So third, this is the first foot, this is the second foot, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So we go to the third foot, and after the first long, there's a caesura. So that's where the break would be in the sentence. It would be arma gravi numero violentaque bella paraba. And it can sort of emphasize it. I mean, we've got it after the 2 ablatives, gravi numero with a heavy meter. Could be trying to emphasize that the meter was supposed to be ever so heavy, but we've got all of these dactyls. Who knows? You know, it's just like, you know, possibilities. And then with the pentameter, it would be after that half a foot. Der materia conveniente modis. Could also sometimes be where we put in the translation commas in the sentence. Sometimes, not always. Then we have line 4. These are all from 1.1. I've kindly numbered them down the side if you wanted to take a look. So this is pentameter, because the even lines are going to be pentameter. Yeah, sorry, I had, that should be, can I move it? Yeah, should be over there. I confused myself because I was putting them so like this one has the indent, so I could tell it was pentameter. And then I was thinking 7 is not an even number. Shocking. So, yeah, this is a pentameter line. Dicitur atque unum surrepuisse pedem. And this one does have elision. Atque unum. That e and u, we don't want them together. So we are going to elide them, and the e is not going to be sounded, so it will be atquunum. And if they are elided, is that the word? I think so. Then typically it will be long. So let's put a long on top of that, unless proven otherwise. Then of course we have long at the start, long at the end, the half foot, then the 2 dactyls, iseped and uripu. Because puisse, surrepuisse is their 2 syllables. Uwe, they're pronounced differently. It's not surrepuisse, they're pronounced differently. And then we have the middle foot. And then we have to look to see what else there is. We can see that there's atqua. They're 2 consonants, that's the word, in a row. So the one, the a, is going to be long, so it'll be atquun. That's a foot. And then we are left with dicitur, and we only need 1 foot left, so that will be a dactyl. And the caesura in this will be after unum. So dicitur atquunum su... Oh, I didn't do the caesura. Let me try again. Dicitur atquunum surrepuisse pedem. I hope this is making sense, and it shows you that scansion isn't that hard. This is a hexameter line. Quid se praeripiat flawae venus arma minervae. No elision. We can go for the start. Oh, let me do red. We can go for the end part with the long X and the long short. Then let's have a look for diphthongs. There are lots in this, which is why I chose this this line. Praeripiat, fla y and minor y, and because there's a diphthong on the end of that, we actually know that is long. We don't need an X. So let's make all of these diphthongs long. Then we will look for if there are any double consonants. Pr, and there's a z, dz, quid c, which is why the quid is long. Tfl, arm, and the urv, which is why the is long. So let's make all of the ones before these long. So we go to the beginning, quid si, 2 longs. That makes a spondy. Then pry. And then we have something, something long, something long, something, something. So let's think. What can we do with this? Well, how many do we need? We have got 3 feet right now, so we need 3 more feet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got 8 vowels. So if we had spondy, so it could be 2 spondy and 1, sorry, not spondy, 2 dactyls and 1 spondy. That sounds like it would work. So one of the little tricks I have is if, like with repeat, if it goes vowel, consonant, vowel, I would typically think that that is probably short. Sort of like if we had tibby, it goes vowel, consonant, vowel, and I would go tibby, like that. So we're going to do that as a dactyl. And then we also have the vowel, consonant, vowel with Venus, so we can do that as well. Then go at, fla, y. And that is right. And the caesura is in the 3rd foot here. A masculine caesura. So quid si praerepiat fla y venus arma minor y. And it would probably be sung to, well, it would be sung to music, so I don't have the music. I don't think anyone has the music, sadly. But imagine it with music. Imagine how great it would be. And then last one is an quod ubique tuum est tua sunt heliconia tempe. Oh, I should have included one with an I at the start. Anyway, maybe I'll have a look for that in a minute. Anyway, so this one has elision, the tuum est. That's what I was talking about down here, tuum est. That's where I got it from. So this is going to elide, and we're not going to pronounce the it will be tuest. This is hexameter. So we'll start from the end, long x, then long, short, short, kunia. And the first one will be long. So are there any diphthongs? No, there are not. Are there any double consonants? We have an, qua. Oh, by the way, qua isn't a double consonant on its own. But z, like a z, and an x, xa, they count as double consonants because it's effectively like dz and ks for them. Should have probably said that before. Quod ubique tuum est tua, that's a double consonant, sunt heliconia and tempe. So sunt, est, and then an. Alright. Yeah, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 12 and we need 4 feet. So that means they all have to be dactyls. And quod ubique tues tua sunt heliconia tempe, with the caesura between the est and tua. Feminine. Caesura. So an quorubi tu west tua sunt heliconia tempe. It's not that hard, is it? Sometimes you can sort of feel where it's meant to be as well. I have that. Maybe it's just because I'm a musician. Let me have a look if I can find one that starts with an I. Ah, I found it. I will write it out. So let's go with... I need another colour. Quis tibi saewe puer. I'm going to run out of space on this line, aren't I? Dedit hoc, or maybe not, in carmina iuris. I know it would have been nicer to have it all in a print rather than my handwriting, but you'll have to make do because I didn't think about this. This is also hexameter. Maybe I'm biased for hexameter, but oh well. Quis tibi saewe puer dedit hoc in carmina iuris. There is no elision, and you might think, oh wait, but there's an A and an I next to each other. Should there not be elision? This is because the I acts as a consonant. I hope that's how you spell it. Give me a sec. Consonant. Yeah, I spelled it right, I think, unless I spelled it wrong before, but I'm going to trust that I didn't. So this acts as a consonant because it's effectively like the English J, like juris, like jurisdiction, you know. So it's a consonant, no elision. Let's scan the line, because why not? Quis iuris carmina. Then we've got diphthong saewe. And then we have my tibi here. We love tibi. Typically it goes two shorts on tibi. Quis tibi. I'll always put that on. And then in, like I was talking about earlier, that's usually long by nature. Tibi, short by nature. Can change, but they're usually your rocks. Double consonants. Rd. Her is sort of breathless, so it doesn't really count. T, you know. I mean, it could, but it's not here because we have in. And then you can't... If you have this at the end of a foot, it must be two longs, because you can't have two shorts and a long at the end of a foot. You know, it's got to be a long there. I mean, this could be a long, but it's not. Trust me on that. So we've got 1, 2, 3. We've got 4 feet. Need 2 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 6. So they're all going to be dactyls. Saewe puer dedit. You can also sort of see if you've done it right, if there's like the break, the caesura between the words, because they're usually after the long in the third foot. So if you have like if you somehow happened to get like that and then do that and that, I know it's the wrong amount, but like let's say that somehow happened, or no, let's say it was more like this isn't a very good line for it, but like that, do if it was like that, I mean it could technically, but if we're like talking about conventionally, you would think, oh, that might be wrong because it's, or if it's like that, it's just like, oh, there's no way in the middle to put that. I sort of screwed that up, but take my last thing, you know, if they're two on the same one, and let's pretend that that's the third syllable, If you have caesura in the middle, that doesn't work because you can't break in the middle of one word. So that can sort of show that you're wrong. Let's put it back to what it actually is. Did it hawk in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So quis tibi saewe puer dedit hoc in carmina juris. Beautiful. Oh, that was line 5 of Amora's 1.1, by the way. Yeah, and I thought I may as well share with you something interesting that I found from going through all of this and scanning it. Or at least, how long is 1.1? Well, I scanned the first 16 lines. Let me go up and have a look at how long 1.1 is, because it's probably longer than 16 lines. Yeah, there's another page of it. But I scanned the first 16 lines, and let me go back down. Ugh. And do you know what I found? I found that, so much suspense, right? It was interesting in the hexameter lines, because most of the time, well, from the start, it went feminine, caesura, masculine, caesura, feminine, masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine, and then in line 15 a feminine again. So I thought it was sort of interesting that at the start he's sort of going in a pattern, feminine, masculine, and you'd probably think that was deliberate for, like, I mean, how many times did I say it? 1, 2, 3. He does it 3 times in a row. And then feminine, feminine. I haven't scanned the next half of the poem, but it's just sort of interesting. Like, why did he decide to do that? Was he just trying to have a little bit of fun with it? Was it actually a coincidence just from the words that he was using? I'll allow you to make up your own mind about it. I hope that this has helped you get into some Scansion. Whenever I do something in Greek, I'll probably get into Scansion with that. That'll probably be after we finish going through the Amores. I really hope this has helped. I hope I wasn't too confusing and I didn't leave too many things out. But if you just practice it, you'll get into it. And I have a handy Scansion website. Actually, no, I have 2 handy Scansion websites. One that will show you the Scansion for certain poems, Latin and Greek, Ancient Greek, and the other one that can test you on Scansion and tell you if you've got it right. So I will link those in the description below. Yeah, hope you enjoyed. And next month, the next part of Ovid 1.4 Amores will be out. If you enjoyed this, and if it was helpful for you, leave a like and a comment, and if there was anything that confused you, also leave a comment, ask questions, and I'll do my best to get back to you.